What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me on these analysis. We're going to be looking at MSTR and Bitcoin today. So the weekly close ended at 331.22. Sideways for the most part. Still not the best close because we closed right here on this line, as you can see. And that is the lowest close that we've had in this little portion of data right here, dating back to April 21st, that week over there in 2025. You can see that we haven't had a close over there. We were bouncing, using it as support, and now we closed right at that level inside of this wicking area, which we were hoping to see some kind of a push up and close back inside of these wicks and hopefully start to see upside. Right now, we're kind of in the same position that we were talking about. Ideally, you just want to see some kind of sideways chop, build a base of support off of this key level right here. That's a floor, and eventually see some kind of upside. If we were to see upside, expect rejection at 360 to around 370. This gray area right here, you'll find some kind of rejection, at least temporarily, unless you catch some major momentum. But we need Bitcoin to absolutely rally really hard for that to happen. We need MSTR to actually track whatever Bitcoin is actually doing. So that's the other factor. We need Bitcoin to move, and we need MSTR to actually do what it's designed to do. Now, what we've been seeing is some kind of formation of a slight uptrend right there. So that's a positive sign, but that could also be the beginning of some kind of bear flag. Hopefully not, but you can kind of see that playing out, and that would be within this larger bear flag that we already spoke about. So we could see that smaller one playing out, and if the small one plays out, then the larger one will probably completely follow through there. On the SMAs, the 50, as we were talking about, ended up acting as a level of resistance. No surprise there. And on the daily, the 20 also was a level of resistance as well. And when we take a look at the Bollinger Bands, we are at the bottom Bollinger Band, which should act as support, and it has been as of lately on the weekly, which is a good sign. And we're still in between the middle band and the bottom band on the daily, sitting at 331 post right now, actually. The volume today was sitting at 10.74 million. It was a pretty low volume week. Thursday was 7.5, Wednesday was 9.7, Tuesday was 6.5, and Monday was 9.95 million. So those are all really low volume days. That's why these candles are pretty small in size when you compare them to these large ones over here. For instance, if we take a look at that one, that was 38 million on this very large candle here. This one here was 21 million, and so on. Volume has been pretty much dried up. Nothing's been happening. The inclusion was a dud. We'll see where things go. We just need sentiment to shift, and we need MSTR to follow Bitcoin tightly. The deviation has still been, existing. Bitcoin has been pushing up a little bit more as well, just like we showed the other day. You can see that deviation. It's trying to do something, but it's not really doing much because Bitcoin's at 116.5 or so, and after hours, MSTR is actually down post market, very slightly though. I would say more sideways than down. But next up is Bitcoin here on the daily. We're going to get a close in 3 hours, so we're going to be looking for that close of 116.2 or higher. That's what we're looking for. And for the weekly, kind of the same thing, but the daily will kind of set up the weekly in a better position. If we can get a daily close at this level, it's going to start to increase the odds that the weekly candle will close there, but we'll see. Of course, the last two candles have been looking pretty solid. You can see not even much wicking action up here off of this last daily candle. We have a little bit of rejection now, but that makes sense because we have this minor level here above our head, a very, very minor level. The stronger level, I wouldn't say it's a major level, but a stronger level is going to be this one here. At that 117.5 mark, that should be a little bit tougher to break through. As you can see, a lot of wicking action has happened there. Price was being floors and ceilings multiple times there, as you can see. It's a well-tested area. We're using it a lot as support and resistance throughout this entire period, all the way back to July 11th. So that's going to be a strong level. If we can break that and hold that, that's going to be very, very powerful. So that's what we'll be keeping our eye out on for Bitcoin. And like I said, it'll start to increase the odds of us getting a close here on the weekly, and that's going to be a good sign. Overall, though, it is starting to play out similar to what we were anticipating. In terms of the weekly, we were saying once we surpass this wick right here at 113.3, that taking a look to the left-hand side, we have a clean move all the way up to 119. And like we said before on the daily, finding some kind of rejection potentially at this zone that we're currently at and at the 117 mark as we make our way to this 119 level here on the weekly. Because remember, you have to look at multiple time frames to decide where major and minor levels of support are. And in terms of global liquidity, we've actually broken the old all-time highs. So that goes to show that Bitcoin could potentially have a longer move, which is nice to see. So we are getting that ramp up and extension of the cycle, which is what we were anticipating and hoping for, because we've seen multiple pullbacks and cool-off periods in global liquidity. So we kind of figured this was going to be the same. This was a pretty large drawdown, though, so there is going to be that aggressive move to the downside at some point in the cycle. I think we're just coming off of either this downward move or this tiny one over here. I don't think we've seen this major downward leg, because that's a lot of liquidity being lost in this period, and then not really the steepest climb up. So we'll see where it takes us, but that's kind of what we're looking for. This is a 12-week lag here. Yeah, 12-day offset, or a 12-week offset, I'm sorry, not day. So we are anticipating Bitcoin to have more upside, but we are looking for the next level of rejection right here at this white line, and then again at the dotted line here, the midline of this entire channel that we have established way back over here. And we are anticipating some kind of drop to this period here whenever we get that bear market. The real question is, do we make it to this midline and find rejection and then to the bottom and then continue the next cycle? Or is it going to be a crazy blow off FOMO hype kind of cycle where we make it to the top, then we come back to touch this, and then we continue our cycle? I think we're going to touch this bottom of the channel regardless of whatever happens, whether we touch up here or over here. And if we do touch the top, it'll line up with these over here, 2017, 2021, and now 2025, all spread out by 4 years. And it would all coincide with the top of the trend line. The bottoms have coincided with 18, 22, and then potentially 26, all spread out by 4 years. My guess would be that it's going to be somewhere in this area for the cycle top, plus or minus a wick, which could take you to much higher valuations than you think. You could even make it up to 200K and still wick and not get a close above this dotted line. So be aware of that. But some people do think we're going to make it all the way up here. It's still on the table, but that's just not going to be my base case, because I don't want to guide anybody and have them think that 350,000 is a must, because it's definitely not. Could it happen? Yeah. Is it a guaranteed? Definitely not guaranteed. Tether dominance is starting to look nice, especially on the monthly. On the weekly, we still have 2 days, but man, if we can get a close within this structure underneath it, expect a pretty good move from Bitcoin if we can get this weekly close, ideally underneath here, but somewhere inside of here, and start to fall down and maybe retest this downward sloping trend line that we had established from over here, and maybe even break that and come down to this blue line. And once you hit that blue line, start looking for that local top for Bitcoin once you get to that blue line here. the total market cap has actually come back to 4 trillion, the highest it's ever been, or if we get it closed, it would be the highest it's ever been. We have touched 4.17, but if we were to close at 4 trillion or higher, that would be the highest close that we've ever seen, which is a positive sign. If we were to get the FOMO and craze that we're hoping for, and it looks something like this, and we touch the top of this channel, or this pattern that we have here, whatever you like to call this, if you were to make a touch all the way up here, you're sitting at 12 to maybe 14 trillion for the entire crypto market. So that's a lot of capital that would have to flow. And if that were to happen, then you could potentially see that crazy move on Bitcoin all the way up to massive valuations. But I don't know if that's the base case in my opinion. So we'll be monitoring this. We have seen this period where it's a cycle up, you come back down, accumulate, cycle up, come back down, accumulate. We'll see if we make it all the way up, and then we get another cycle down, and you accumulate in the down and sideways action to ride up the next leg. Of course, as valuations start to increase and more capital flows through Bitcoin, ETH, and the entire crypto market, it's going to be harder to move the crypto market cap because it takes more capital to flow in to actually move it a certain percentage. And for the dollar, we're looking for an aggressive move to the upside eventually, after potentially either touching this line or coming down to this level of support. Those are kind of the two areas that I'm looking at. And then we're looking for a massive run up on the dollar, and that's going to be when we get our crypto bear market as the dollar increases. That's what we're kind of anticipating. This has been established all the way from 08. The odds of us actually deviating from this trend line here are very unlikely, but it's possible because you can see we had one here in 11, but that was short-lived over a couple months, and then we're right back above it. So if we do deviate, it could be temporarily, maybe a couple months, and then we probably come right back inside of it. The dollar starts to rally up, and then we're right back inside of this channel, pushing towards the upper part of this channel. I don't know if we'll make it all the way up here, but we'll see. It has touched it almost every single time, all the way back here in 06, 09, 15, and so on, 17, 15, 22. So we'll see if we make a top all the way here in 26 or 27, and we'll keep monitoring this for sure. Next levels of support though and resistance would be this 50 and 20 right here on the monthly. So if we were to push up, you'd expect some kind of resistance at 102, and then at this key level of support at 100 to 101.5. And on the weekly, we have the 20 pushing the dollar down, and then you have your 50 and 200 here at around 103. So as price breaks into the 100s, 100 to maybe 103, 104 is going to be a lot of rejection or possible rejection areas. And on the daily, for the shorter term, we have the 20 and the 50 right above price, suppressing price to the downside, which is potentially good for Bitcoin and risk on assets as the dollar drops. That's pretty much all I have for you guys. Make sure you drop a like and subscribe. Check out the link in the bio for the Discord. Get weekly updates, daily updates based off of Bitcoin and what it's actually doing in real time. So check that out, and I'll see you guys in the next one.